John here. Here's lick of the day number 145. It's a Dorian picking fest. As usual, I'm gonna play it once slowly and then break it down. During the breakdown, I'm gonna share some practice advice you can apply to this one and pretty much anything else you're practicing. If you want the tabs, you have a link to the tabs in the description below. We start here on the 12th fret of the A string. Right, so this one is based on the C Dorian scale. C Dorian is the same as the natural minor scale, but with a natural sixth. So you get a bit of a more upbeat minor sound. We start here with this A minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, and it happens to be the sixth chord in the Dorian scale if you harmonize it. So this really gives you that Dorian sound, but again, yes, we're playing an A minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, but it's in the context of C as the root note, so these notes will have a different meaning. And you have all that in the tab, so I write out the shapes, and I always write it out in the context of the key, meaning what you hear. So we started on the 12th fret, and it's going to be 12, 15. Then we have 13 on the D, 12 on the G, 13 on the B, and then 11 and 15 on the E string. And I play it like this: down, hammer, down, 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 up, pull off. So after that we shift up to the 18th fret, and we're gonna play this C minor 7 arpeggio, and it goes like this: 18, 15, and then we have 16, 15, 17, 18, and then finally 15. I'm coming from here. So I'm playing this with an upstroke, so it's going to be up, pull off, and then down, up, 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 down. Then we just go back up again. And now we're going to add that, so we end up here with a downstroke. So the whole C minor 7 thing is going to be up, pull off, up, 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 down, hammer, down, 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 up, down. And from here we're going to have this picking sequence. I completely stole this from Paul Gilbert in one of his instructional videos. It's a really good picking sequence, but I've heard it in Petrucci's playing and a lot of different players, so it's a pretty common thing. Basically it's an 8th note sequence, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we start here with a downstroke, and we're gonna go 18, 17, 15. And then we have 18, 16, 15 on the B string. So basically it's a descending group of 6. But then the last two notes will be after the shift down to the next scale note. So 13, 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we restarted here on the 16th fret. And then do the same thing. So it's going to be 16, 15, 13. 15, 14, 12, and then the shift will be down to 10. So then we're gonna restart it on A here. It's gonna be 14, 12, 10, 13, 12, 10, shift down to 8, and then from here we're gonna go 12, 10, 8, 12, 10, 8, and then shift down to 6 and up again. And then the last group will just be this. We don't go. Could do that if you want, but I didn't do that in this case. So that's the ending of it. So from the top again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, from the beginning, slowly. Alright, so practice-wise here, as usual, just break it up, especially in this case, since we have different techniques. So if you're weaker in one technique, you might want to spend more time there. But learn the lick as is first, meaning, you know, just get through it at like, you know, that type of pace. And then you can see, actually use a metronome. Here's where I find using a metronome is good in terms of speeding up gradually. I don't think that's a great idea otherwise, because there's so many things that can go wrong, and you can end up just pushing too far. But in terms of you know, starting at, if you learn it at, I don't know, 60 BPMs, and then you do it a couple of times there, and then that's fine. Jump it up to 70 BPMs, do it again there, 80, 90, 100, and then if like at 110 or something, you find like, oh crap, I can't, this picking thing is really bothering me, or the sweep thing is bothering me. Then you can use that information as like, okay, probably means I need to work more on this than that. So as a diagnostic tool, I think the metronome is great. But then as far as working on it, we just find a tempo that feels really good, everything is perfect, and then move it up and down the fretboard in half steps. Sounds simple, but if you do that enough times, that's really gonna help your technique a lot. Much more than sitting there trying to push the speed the whole time. On paper, pushing the speed with the metronome looks like a really great idea, but we're so ego-driven, and I include myself in this, so you kind of want to push the speed a bit more. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you lift a certain weight and you're really close to an even number, you're probably gonna try to push it up there, because it feels better to say, yeah man, you know, I benched 200 pounds instead of 195, even though you should have stopped at 195, because at 200 you basically hurt yourself. It doesn't have to be that dramatic, but it's kind of, we just tend to work that way. So if you look at the metronome and you start getting up there and you see like, well, you know, I kind of know it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really work here at 160, but I'm gonna do that anyway, because 160 is a better number than sitting around at 145 or whatever. So I find working on the technique stuff is much better to do without that metronome. But then you can use the metronome just to see where you're at afterwards. But in terms of like programming a technique, I really do believe in focusing on correct technique and a lot of reps, because there's no way that you can sit around that, you know, 50 BPMs doing 16th notes, and if you do that 2 hours a day for 6 months, there's no way you could tell me, if you don't do anything really stupid, but if you do, you know, you use the correct technique, but there's no way your top speed wouldn't improve a lot, even though you're not even trying to push it, because you just get this habit basically of synchronization. So if you've done the raising the tempo with a metronome and that works really great for you, absolutely keep doing that. But if you find that you've been doing that a lot, but it hasn't really helped you, maybe try another way, you know, maybe try just focusing on getting as many good reps in as possible. And yes, you need to try to push the tempo at some point as well, but I would say that, you know, 90 to 95% of your time should be spent very accurately. Whether that's speed burst, that's still accurate, but you should only go for it for like maybe 5% of your time. I would say 5 to 10% at the most. And what I've seen with students that have trouble with technique, they've done the opposite. Maybe not as bad, but you know, 80-20 turned around. So they've basically been doing 20% slow work and 80% is just trying to go for it, and then being super surprised that nothing happens. Because practice, you know, they say practice makes perfect, but that's not true. Practice makes permanent, and that's kind of not true either, because you can always change it, but whatever you practice over and over again, that's the outcome you're going to get after, you know, after X amount of repetitions, because that's how our brains work. So if you look at golf, for example, you would never have a golf coach just tell you to, like, yeah, just get out there and just swing that driver around, and eventually you will have a perfect swing like Tiger Woods. It's fine. Well, you know, yeah, you're doing completely the wrong movement now, but if you do it enough times, it will just become perfect after a while. You need to push yourself. So if you see it in that context, I think it's easier to see that you've been sold something really, really bad when people say, like, oh, you need to push the speed. Really? I think you need to push the accuracy more, because the speed, you're gonna push the speed anyway. You're a guitar player. We're all guilty of that stuff, trying to see, like, okay, how can I, you know, can I do this faster? So that's not an issue. The issue is that you're probably not spending enough time actually doing things very accurately and focusing on the transition time and all that other stuff that I keep talking about. And I repeat myself a lot, but that's because it's important. There's no magic trick behind this, really. It's just about putting in the good reps and getting enough good reps over time. And the more you can practice, the better off you are. To a certain point. I mean, if you would sit there for 10 hours a day doing this stuff, you probably would hurt yourself more, but within reason, the more practice you get in, the better off you will be technically. So yeah, before I'm rambling your ear off here, I'm gonna sign off. But if you have any questions, just post them below. Otherwise, good luck with this one, and I hope you enjoyed it. And see you tomorrow, of course.